Welcome to another episode of the Art of Hustle podcast.
What's up?
Hannah, what up?
Not much. Chilling.
Just chilling, podcasting.
Yeah. Enjoying the sunshine like always.
You love the sun, huh?
I love the sun.
Why do you love the sun? Break it down to us.
When I step outside and I feel the warmth, like it doesn't even have to be warm outside, but like the warmth that the sun puts on my skin, like is like a drug. Like the second I'm outside, even like just now, it's 32 degrees outside, and I took my jacket off so I could like sit outside with my like tank top on and feel as much of the sun on me, on my skin as I could. Does that explain it?
Sure. That's good enough for me. I appreciate the honest take of the sunshine.
Yeah.
All right, episode, what we got? Do you know what we're talking about?
I honestly have no idea.
Are you nervous?
Kind of.
So this is going to be a pretty big episode.
Why?
It's going to test some emotional boundaries.
Oh, we know I'm not good at that.
That's what we're here for.
All right. Let's go.
Before we get started, I feel like it's important to note that the Art of Hustle is kind of turned into this like lifestyle podcast.
Okay.
So it's not all about hustling.
Okay.
I think it's redefining what hustle means to us. And hustling means just like the overall scope of life. Like there's a hustle and there's a rest. And the cycle of both. Would you agree, disagree?
I would say that you are good at hustling and resting. I would say that for me, I hustle until I collapse, and then I hustle again. So it's a little, is your question like, how is it supposed to be, or how do I do it?
How do you do it? What does hustle mean to you, and what is hustle? What is hustle? What is hustle to Hannah Edison?
What is hustle to Hannah Edison? The only thing I know is 110%, 110 miles an hour, all or nothing. So like who Hannah Edison is, hustle is like everything. Like I almost picture my life as like those last 100 yards in a race where it's like, go, like everything you got. Like that's like, I wake up and that's how I like imagine each day is those final 100 yards, like sprinting.
Perfect.
I feel like this is
that's
a
what
test.
that's what I knew you were gonna say.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm knowing you for 10 years.
You do know me.
Now,
Well.
this episode, I want to talk about something that has rocked your hustle.
Okay.
Something that has changed, honestly, your life, my life, our marriage, our family.
All right. What is it?
And that is having a child that has a disability and then has special needs.
Yeah. Dang. I might cry.
I told you we're about to talk about some things today. I think for those who probably don't know, one of our sons has cerebral palsy. And it has forever made our life better.
Yeah.
That's the only word that came to mind.
Great.
Greatness.
Wish you would have prepared me for this.
We got the raw, authentic experience today. So going back to the birth of our boys, they were born 29 weeks. One was 2 pounds, 12 ounces. One was 2 pounds, 2 ounces. And we were in the NICU for 2 months. And it was some of the best days of our lives. You can reference prior episodes of our faith walk, our trust in the Lord, our marriage. And this is something that we haven't really talked about with a lot of people.
We hold it very close to our hearts.
Absolutely. For those of you who have children with some additional needs, or additional support, I think you can resonate with how precious your family unit is after discovering those needs and support. Hannah, do you want to go back to you discovering?
Yeah. Now that I've because the boys were born so early, like right off the bat, you go in for checkups. Like they just check everything a lot. They're making sure they're hitting their milestones. You go into these rooms, and I would bring both of the boys. Corn was busy with the gym, so a lot of times I was going by myself. I'd bring both the boys into these rooms. There'd be like anywhere from 4 to 6 to 8 specialists in all these different areas, and I'm answering questions like on a paper. They're watching them, whether it's like sitting up or crawling, or as I get older, they're watching their different motor skills. And we had gone to multiple of these, and the boys had passed with flying colors. Just amazing. Like they kind of defying all odds, like just miracle after miracle. And we really thought we were out of the clear. At least I thought we were out of the clear, in the sense of we had boys born at 29 weeks, and they looked like they were quote unquote normal, healthy, doing great. As it kind of got time for them to start walking, Isaiah started, he was a super late walker. And I told my pediatrician, told the boys' pediatrician, like, he keeps falling. He's like, oh, that's interesting. He's like, let me see a video. Cause I'd take Ava there, cause Ava was just born. And he's like, oh, that's interesting. Let's schedule him. Let's bring him in and kind of check him out. So we bring Isaiah in there, and he's kind of looking him over and whatnot. And he's like, yeah, okay, I'm going to have you like go see this other specialist and see what's going on. And so that the next specialist, and Silas kind of had some of the same issues. So we just always did both the boys, like got both the boys like evaluated at the same time. So I go to this one appointment. I'm not really thinking much of it. Cornelius is at the gym. I take both boys. They're let me see age-wise here. They are about a year and a half. And so very difficult. We were in a room. This lady was asking a bunch of questions. They were like having behavioral issues. Like all of this was going on. And at the very end of it all, she goes, so yeah, Isaiah definitely has cerebral palsy. And I just I'm like, wait, what? And she's like, oh my gosh, did your doctor not tell you? I'm like, no one, like, I've never heard those words and my son's name connected, like in the same sentence. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, here's a pamphlet for like a support group. Here's this to like your next steps of where you should go to this. And I just I kind of black out and like get the boys in the car. And I just like broke down, and I like call Corn. And I was like, I'm about to tell you something, and it's might like rock you a little bit. Like, are you prepared for some news? And he's like, yeah, what's going on? I was like, Isaiah has cerebral palsy. And do you remember this?
I do. I'll never forget this.
What?
I feel like it was like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. I was training one of my clients, and I was like, I need to take this call real quick. And I knew something was off. And I just remember getting on the phone. You said that. I had the same experience of like the emotional blackout, and I like got off the phone, looked at my client, and she's a mom too, and she was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Honestly, not really." Like, she was like, "Do you want to continue this?" I was like, "No." I remember I just like stopped and like just sat in my feelings for a minute. I think I ended up like calling my mom, and she just came over to the gym like 10 minutes later, and she just like sat there and just like hugged me, and we talked, and the angel on earth that she is just reassuring me that this is all part of God's plan.
Mm-hmm.
And like her peace over me like was a game changer in that moment.
Yeah. And so that was the beginning of kind of the rest of our lives as parents, with a son with a disability, and the rest of Isaiah's life, like journeying through navigating this all.
Facts. I feel like, it's always interesting. And I don't know if this is how I'm wired, but I do not like the word disability. And like just seeing who my son is and seeing all three of my kids and how beautiful they are, and it's important to note that his disability, he has spastic cerebral palsy, and I can't remember the level number, but it only affects his left leg. So it's a brain injury that signals to his leg that he can't relax his calf muscle. So he's always like locked. I guess his ankle extension, dorsiflexion.
Yeah.
Probably should know that, but
I know.
he walks on his like tiptoes, so
Yeah.
his heel's always elevated. It's basically he's stuck in the top end of a calf raise on his left side. So you can imagine it affects his ankle, knee, hip. But just the resiliency, the independence, the strength, the confidence, the wanting to figure it out, the stubbornness, which he gets from his mom. um, just who he is as a person. Like, he has, you hear the thing with, like, if something is taken away, other things get enhanced. And that is definitely the case for him. Just his emotional understanding, his compassion, his ability to struggle and never give up and never quit. Like, it's highly inspiring.
It's so inspiring. Like daily, he does something that literally like blows my mind. And I just sit back and like my first thing I can like say in my head is thank you, God. Thank you for giving me a daily reminder
Yeah.
of your faithfulness and your like miraculous hand on this boy's life. Like, it's so powerful. So talk to us a little bit. Since getting the diagnosis, that was 1.5. He's now 4. What have kind of been some memories or milestones that he's hit that have amazed you?
I think his speed capability, like how fast he is. Like, so I guess it's more to talk about like therapy and like the modalities. So like he wears a brace called AFO, which helps him get his heel on the ground. But even that was a challenge, like helping him figure out his coordination, his balance, his whole mind-body connection and spatial awareness. His ability to go from like losing his balance all the time and like always falling to walk to like being fast and physical. And I remember early on, I don't know if this is before we found out about the CP or after, but how strong he is. Like,
so strong.
do you remember when him and Sauce were like super young and like Sauce tried to open up a sliding glass door and then Zay would come over and like one hand just like rip it open? I'm like, whoa.
No, Isaiah's upper body strength is unmatched, and like his grip strength.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's incredible.
And how he can like position his body to make it happen. So I think just his overall awareness to his body without, like, I think he understands has a difference, but like he's just so normal in himself.
Yeah.
I think his swimming for sure. His swimming capabilities is probably my number one, like off the charts impressive. What about you? What are some milestones or some things that come to mind?
I would say like when we first started doing, he got in like early intervention, which was like this program, and I remember one of the things that stood out to me that they told me is they're like, yeah, if he can't climb up a slide and go down a slide, he won't be able to be in like an all-inclusive classroom. And I remember hearing that, I'm like, dang, like because he has a physical. What if you don't want me to say disability?
No,
what
you
would
can
you
say disability.
Okay.
It's not like
okay. Because he has a physical disability, like this could potentially affect his like learning. And so we would go to parks and like he'd always need help and I'd help him get up, and I remember one time in particular he did that. He climbed up a ladder, climbed up a slide, got his feet. It's hard for him to get his feet underneath him to sit on his bottom and go down. And he did it by himself and he got to the bottom. And like the look on his face, it was like, I did it. Like I did that. And it was like, I remember in my mind, I'm like, dude, you literally like, you just climbed up a ladder, went down, and like this.
was a marker that they said he couldn't do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're one step closer to this boy defying everything. And like a second milestone, I would say, is the boys started at like a little private preschool this year. And we had our first ever parent teacher conference. And like, here it was in like a quote unquote normal classroom. He was in there. He didn't have any teacher aides. He, one of 20, 25 kids.
He wore his brace all day, which is a big milestone.
Big deal. And the teacher, we had she was just saying how I was kind of going in there preparing like, oh, maybe she's going to, tell some things that Isaiah struggles with and that we need to work with him on, or that there's issues. Absolutely nothing. Your boys are smart. They're so kind. They help each other. They listen. They play well with other kids. They like no issues at recess. Like Isaiah had completely and beautifully integrated into an environment that doctors told me was impossible. It was not going to happen. And I left that meeting surprisingly crying. I know. Of course, so why are you crying? Like, we just got like the teachers like said good things. I'm like, I know, because this is a moment right here that proves miracles happen. This is a miracle. Like, and I don't want to take that for granted. And it's God's work. It's the work that we have done as parents, and it's the work that little boy has put in to defy all odds. And it's powerful.
Amen. I think it's also nice to know that like his brother has been right there with him. I mean, literally since day one. But for Silas, he's super energetic and does not stop and goes. But the patience and loves and like friendship that he's shown his brother, like through those times where, life had to slow him down a little bit so he can like help support his brother. He's been so gracious to support him, and like that's what I've really been proud of Silas for, how he supported his brother, how he's handled, the emotional maturity of this situation. And like there's been times where, Zay's like, hey, can you guys slow down, wait for me so I can make this happen and catch up. And every time, like, I know Silas's body literally wants to just keep going.
He's like, it's like what is it, like a horse to barn, or like holding on?
I don't know. You from the country? That's
It's like,
I'm a city boy. I don't know.
Horse wants to get to the barn. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Never mind. Anyways,
like giddy up or something.
Sure.
But Silas is like, willing to like stay patient.
Yeah.
And like support his brother because he loves his brother, and that's his best friend. So it's like, I just love that Silas is there to support him. Mm-hmm. And then
but
you have a little peanut in there.
She's still learning.
Yeah.
But it needs to like make note that you worked very hard with those boys, like out of the gates, knowing that it was going to be a challenge raising two boys the same exact age and very different strengths, and like teaching them kind of like, this is your strength, and like you're going to use your strength to help your brother where he might not be as strong. And Isaiah's strength helps Silas where he might not be as strong. Like early on, you didn't let them come down the stairs without the other one right behind them. Like you wait and you come down together. If you go and get a toy, like you go together and you both get a toy and you come back. Like you worked hard with Silas to pump the brakes, to slow down, because at the end of the day, waiting and making sure that he was protective and was there for, like, that they were there for each other was the most important thing.
Yeah, I thank God for that because he put that on my heart, my mind. And my dad was great at that. My dad was very team-oriented, team aspect. And I knew having twins from the second we found out, after I passed out, that, this is going to be a brotherly bond, a team bond, a unity that they had to work together to overcome. Like even before the diagnosis, like that's how I wanted to raise my boys. Was it's a team atmosphere, and they get it done together. They wait for each other, and they protect their sister. They protect each other. They protect themselves as a team. Like that team aspect is super important to me, and it's like I want them to just like experience that love, and like they're never alone, and like they can always be made whole in each other, and in their family, you know, and Team Jesus is how I feel about all of it. So,
What's one piece of advice that you would give to parents that either have a child with a disability or know that they might be bringing in this world a child with a disability?
stay off the internet. Honestly, like I'm ready to go on the internet to look it up. I was like, this is gonna be no good for me. I trust in God's plan for not only my life, but my children's life, and I know God has His perfect story. So for me, it's like this too shall pass. These times where, you know, the doctors may say something like, we have a God who is the best doctor in the house. So it's like, yes, I can sit here and stir and feel all these emotions, and it's good to feel the emotions, but like at the end of the day, like this child is going to be exactly who they're meant to be, and they're going to have such a beautiful, abundant life that there's only so much that you and I can do to like change that. Like he is born with a disability, but he's so much more than just a disability. And I think for me, like I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want the pity or I don't know, the sadness, I guess, to feel sorry for. Like, don't feel sorry for him. There's a lot more people you should feel sorry for. Like my boy, my boys, my girls, they're loved, and they will have a beautiful life, and they will be strong individuals, regardless of what, you know, their disabilities might be.
Yeah. I remember we had an option super early on when we first got the diagnosis there's all these like tests that we could get done. And one of them was to get an MRI, like sedate him and get an MRI and kind of see like what his brain function was, how much white matter there was. And like one of the big scary things was like with this diagnosis that it could come with lifelong seizures. And that freaked me out. And I initially was like, oh yeah, well, we definitely are going to get the MRI. Like we need to know as much information as we can. And I remember, and Corn was in that doctor's appointment. I remember leaving and he goes, we're not getting the MRI. Like, what? What do you mean? He's like, we're not doing it. God's got us. God's got that boy. He's got it. We don't need to do any of this. And I at first I wanted to fight it. Cause I'm like, no, like we need to know this information. He's like, so what? So you can do what with it? Worry about it? I'm like, I guess you got a point. So sure enough, we did not get the MRI. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I'm very thankful that you made that decision, because we do have the opportunity to get an MRI later on this month, and we're still kind of going back and forth about it. But I'm very glad that I did not cloud my mind in my worry with too much information, that we took one day at a time and what that day had to offer, and honestly release the rest of the future of the unknown to God. And it really allowed us to have this overwhelming peace about it. It wasn't really explainable. I'd tell close friends and family would know, and they're like, how are you doing? How's it going? I'm like, honestly, it's great. Isaiah's diagnosis and what that boy is hands down one of the best parts of my day. Watching him defy odds, watching him be so stubborn that he's stuck on one thing. He tries to, get up on the couch, and he's stuck on it until he figures out that he can stack 3 things and step up here and step up there and get on the couch. And it's incredible.
It's a blessing. I just sit back and watch.
I know.
I get inspired to go harder in my life, because if everybody had his level of like care and desire to like accomplish something, like that's why I wake up and go hard every day. Like knowing what my kids have overcome, knowing the battles that he faces every day, knowing like the patience that Silas distributes, knowing like the love that Ava gives. Like my kids make me who I am now. And like I reflect their energy because they pour into me just as much as I pour into them. And I don't think we need to know everything, but there's been no seizures. He's smart, he learns. He's a normal 4-year-old boy who has to wear a brace. And I just trust in God's plan for his life, in Silas's life, for Ava's life, for all of our lives, because at the end of the day, that's all we can do is just trust and believe and have that faith. And live that faith every day with discipline. So
that's bars.
I'm very blessed to be a parent to Isaiah Martin Edison, to Silas Martin Edison, and Ava Grace Edison. And flowers to you because you had to navigate a lot as a mom with 3 young kids, twins, a little girl. Ooh.
Wait, I'm not gonna lie. People still like when they see us at the park, like I'll run into other twin parents, and majority of the time, like it's like just a set of twins, and their first question to me always is, "And you had another one? Like, how did you do that?" And
you just point at me. His fault.
Well, I do say, well, I do have to say my husband was he was the pushing force on that. But another thing was both of our boys walked late. So we got pregnant before our twins were walking, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
If you are a parent, you know that transition from a non-walking toddler to a walking toddler. And it's a game changer. And I remember like when we got with like the boy, Silas finally started walking, I think at 15 months. Isaiah he was like 20, maybe 21 months. So he started walking the month before Ava was born. So picture me 8 months pregnant, one big boy on my hip, the other one running around with absolutely zero idea to any risk. Actually, we were just like quite thing. But I look back to those times and I really am like, dang, we can do anything.
I think also something that like, do you remember Silas's nickname when he first started walking? What was it? Norco. So when the boys were born early, Silas came home with oxygen, and I swear they turned his oxygen all the way up in his lungs. Because that boy went everywhere.
The second he figured out how to walk, he sprinted
everywhere.
And like, so it was such just like yin and yang, because you had him sprinting everywhere. You had Isaiah, who really didn't want to like walk unless he absolutely had to. And then along came Ava, and she says potato.
A cute sack of potatoes.
We wouldn't go anywhere. Like, I was like, we are not a safe, like,
it's wild.
Safe capsule.
That was like a year ago. Year and a half ago, it feels like.
2.
Oh, okay. Feels like a year.
Yeah. It feels like I don't even know what that time of life was.
All right. Last thing. What advice would you give moms, parents navigating, a child with a disability or just finding out?
It's going to be the most rewarding part of parenting. There's nothing that compares to it. So you will mourn. You mourn what you thought. We all like have these expectations of what we think our child's life is going to be like. And you mourn that for a little bit, because some of those may not ever come to fruition. But what actually does come is something 10,000 times better than you could ever like pick or dream or imagine for them. So let yourself feel it. Obviously, I'm a feeler. But know in your head that it's going to be one of the greatest things that ever happened to you, and that you will daily learn from your child, like the true word of resiliency and grit.
That's bars. All right, y'all.
No.
I did mine.
No, I know. But I just want you to know I'm mad at you.
I love you.
Dropping this bomb on me.
Oh.
Yeah. I'll forgive you later. But you ain't ever surprising me with no.
Did you say you like spontaneity?
Yeah, I do. But whatever this was.
Surprise. Or as David would say, surprise.
Surprise.
All right, y'all. Art of Hustle podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate y'all. We out.
Peace.